Good morning everybody, this is Lara with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP. Before I get into it, I want to remind you that we've started a new Discord server, so you can't share links and charts and YouTube comments, so you can share them on Discord. I'll put an invite link in the description box down below, so head on over and let's start getting a community building over there. As these markets go through a huge bullish run, we're going to want to be sharing charts with each other. Daily technicals for Bitcoin, it's slowing down around this support resistance area about 51,800. On the 14th, price closed above what was resistance at 51,800, so it's turned to support, but this may be a bit of more of a vague zone, and we might be about to get some consolidation or a pullback around here. Yesterday's candlestick for the 15th of February completes a doji candlestick coming after a long green candlestick, and so now if the 16th of February, this session completes a red candlestick closing reasonably within the body of the 14th candlestick, then there's going to be an evening doji star forming at this little high. And that's a bearish reversal pattern. If that happens, then I would expect some pullback to find support about 48,000, maybe about 48, 49,000 in a bit of a zone around here. That would be normal to be expected behavior after this fairly decent bullish run to see a pullback, and then another test of what would again be resistance about 51,800 before finally moving up and away. And that's one reason why I said I'm thinking that at some stage in March we might see new all-time highs. If not March, then April, but I think April might be a bit too long. I think it's probably going to start to have an increase in acceleration to the upside. But it won't always move in a straight line. Sometimes Bitcoin and other cryptos can move in a straight line with vertical upward movement for 2, 3, 4, even 5 weeks on occasion when they have strong periods of parabolic or exponential growth at the end of those periods. But more often, particularly early on in a parabolic growth phase, you will have pullbacks and consolidations along the way. That's normal to be expected behavior. Volume was pushing price higher. It is still fairly decent, it's well above average, but there's a little slight decline in volume, and the session for the 15th of February was weaker than the 14th, which was weaker than the 11th. A very slight decline in volume, along with some resistance support about 51,800, and a little bit of a slowing of price with that doji candlestick yesterday is giving a suggestion that we might be seeing a pullback or consolidation in this area. ADX is still very, very strongly bullish. There is such a long way to go before this is as extreme as it can get when Bitcoin has a strong bullish run. RSI is now reasonably overbought, but not nearly as overbought as it can get during a bullish run, and money flow is overbought. There's still an upward trend, but I think we might be seeing a pullback or consolidation to last at least a few days, maybe a week or two, about here. Zooming in on my Elliott Wave count for Ethereum, I'm starting to put some labels into this bullish run here, and I tried to see if it could be a complete 5-wave impulse. And if I've got this labeling right, then we need one more final 5th wave to move at least beyond the end of the 3rd at 2867.69, so a new at least to that point, or at least a little above, before we can expect a deeper pullback or consolidation for Ethereum. And subminuet 2, if it's deep, I would expect strong support at the lower edge of this channel, but I don't expect it's going to be that deep. It may be a more shallow and time consuming, in that it could last a week or two when it arrives, but we need that little 5th wave to complete first if I've got this labeling right. Now I might have this labeling wrong, and there could be an extra little 4th wave in here, and we could label it like this, and this could be underway. So microwave 4 could have been really brief and shallow, and that is actually pretty normal for a 4th wave toward the end of a bullish run. So this is also possible. The pullback for Ethereum could be arriving in its first session today. The target from the ascending triangle, which I went over or showed you on the weekly chart recently, is still in play, 3347. Price doesn't have to move in a straight line up toward that target though. There'll be pullbacks and consolidations along the way, some of them brief and shallow, And it could be more time consuming, like this one here that lasted over a couple of weeks. Resistance at 2,700 was breached, price moved up and away, and now we may be coming down to test support at 2,700. If price closes back below that area, then next support at 2,400. Volume pushing price higher, really good to see for yesterday's session, and a bullish signal from on-balance volume. This is a weak bullish signal though, because this trend line that's been breached to the upside by on-balance volume has quite a steep slope, which reduces the technical significance of that line and that signal. ADX gave us a very strong bullish signal about a week ago, telling us Ethereum is in a new upward trend in a very early stage. It's still a very strong bullish look for Ethereum. There's a very, very long way to go before this trend reaches extreme territory. RSI is overbought, but this usually reaches overbought somewhat early on in a bullish run. It can get extremely overbought and then exhibit bearish divergence before a bullish run comes to an end. And money flow likewise can reach further extreme. It is now overbought, but it's not as extreme as it can get for this market. 3 Elliott Wave counts for XRP. This is my third and preferred Elliott Wave count, and we look like we're starting to see some decent upward movement. This wave count expects a third wave at minor degree, within a third wave at intermediate degree, within a third wave at primary degree, within a third wave at cycle degree, as in its very, very early days. This is an extremely bullish wave count for XRP, expecting new all-time highs this year. Second Elliott Wave count is now looking less likely. This considers intermediate 2 continuing lower as a zigzag with an impulse for A, a triangle for B, and an ending contracting diagonal for C. The diagonal is still contracting, and if the fourth wave is complete at this high, then the fifth wave should be shorter. So at equality, which is 0.444, the diagonal would be invalid. The fifth wave for this wave count has to end prior to 0.444, which is just enough to take minus C below the end of A and avoid a truncation. And here's another little Elliott Wave tip to note. When a C wave or a fifth wave is subdividing as an ending diagonal, that ending diagonal almost always never ends in a truncated C or fifth wave. What that means is, if this is the correct wave count and this structure for minor wave C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ending contracting diagonal for minus C, then minus C as an ending contracting diagonal would be extremely likely to move beyond the end of A. It would be very, very unusual, such a low probability for it to be truncated, for it to not move beyond the end of A. Elliott Wave count number 1, which I expect has the lowest probability, sees intermediate 2 as zigzag, impulse for A, zigzag over here for B, and an impulse completing lower for C. The duration of microwave 2 now reduces the probability of this wave count. Micro 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 above 0.6236. If this is the correct wave count, it should find resistance here. We should see a pullback here, a starting to move lower for micro 3. This wave count needs a third wave down at multiple degrees to exhibit an increase in momentum, probably to have push from volume, and then a series of fourth waves to unfold along the way down. This wave count sees quite a lot of work to do for intermediate wave 2 to complete, and it will probably last another month or 2 at least. XRP closed above what was resistance at 54 cents, 55 cent area. It's back above that area. I'll expect the 54 cent area to offer some reasonable support now. Price was moving higher with an increase in range, but the candlestick for the 15th of February has completed with a bit of a bearish upper wick, so we might see a pullback here following the bearishness of that wick. Volume was pushing price higher yesterday. That is absolutely fantastic to see some volume just begin to return to this rather dead market. Such a laggard XRP, I wish it'd hurry up. ADX is still declining. The DX lines have crossed over, so this indicates a potential trend change from down to up, but because the black ADX line is still declining, there's no clear trend indicated yet. RSI reached fairly close to oversold for the last of that downward movement. It's still in neutral. Money flow's still neutral. A little bit of an uptick from ATR in yesterday's session. Good to see just a little bit of volatility and a little bit of volume return to XRP, but it really is lagging behind the other two. That's it from me today with your analysis. To end the week, I'm moving over to the UK on the weekend, and so your videos will be produced earlier because of the new time zone I'll be in. Don't forget to head on over to the Discord server if you have any links to other analysis you want to share or your charts. And if you want any feedback on your Elliott Wave counts, I check in on Discord at least once or so a day, and I'll give you feedback on your wave counts if you ask me. So you can use me as a teaching resource. Thanks everybody for your support, and I hope everyone's looking forward to a lovely weekend.